Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Texas Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry's weekly action hour. We are so thankful to see you here tonight for a special ceasefire action hour. We welcome friends from our membership, from outside of Texas even. We were blessed to have friends visiting us from New York in the We Cry Justice spiritual book group that preceded this. And so everyone is welcome here. We are so glad you're here. I'm Reverend Erin Walter. I'm the minister and executive director of Texas UU Justice Ministry. That's your state action network. And we connect and support Unitarian Universalists, individuals, congregations, and our partners in doing justice work that reflects UU values in Texas and beyond. So welcome tonight. I'm going to invite Sarah Burrell-Harrop, intern minister and lead organizer of the Action Hours, who is serving as our tech host tonight, to play our opening song, Courage, which is a song of the South African anti-apartheid movement that has also been used in ceasefire actions in DC recently, as well as in the Poor People's Campaign. That's our partners from the previous hour as well. So during this song, if you would, in the chat, please introduce yourself. Give us your name, your pronouns if you use pronouns, and your congregation or location. And we have a good sized group tonight. So again, that introduction will happen in the chat. Thank you for being here. Enjoy the song.
Courage, my friends, we do not walk alone. We will walk with you and sing your spirit home. You got it. Courage, my friends, we do not walk alone. We will walk with you and sing your spirit home. Freedom, my friends, you do not walk alone. We will walk with you and sing your spirit home. Patience, my friends, we do not walk alone. We will walk with you and sing your spirit home. Justice, my friends, we do not walk alone. We will walk with you and sing your spirit home. Hope, my friends, you do not walk alone. We will walk with you and sing your spirit home. Courage, courage, my friends, we do not walk alone. We will walk with you and sing your walk with you, and sing your spirit home. We will walk with you, and sing your spirit home. Thank you all.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for naming the places that you are coming from. Tonight, we come together for this ceasefire action hour with much grief, coming from different places in our own lives, in our own churches, in our own communities, hearing calls from our ancestors. The Action Hour team seeks to create a space for us to be together and take meaningful action in representation and living out of our Unitarian Universalist values. Tonight, we seek to create a space of peace as well. We will take things at a peaceful pace. We have 3 chaplains with us today volunteering their time, and we're very grateful to them for that. And so I just want to tell you a little bit about how that will work, and then I'm going to light the chalice and share some opening words from our Unitarian Universalist Association president. Our chaplains tonight are the Reverend Ade Krabah, minister of TXUUJM member congregation UUs of New Braunfels and a board member of the Texas UU Justice Ministry. Thank you, Reverend Ade, if you might like to wave so folks can see you. We appreciate you. Biz Thornton, who is a graduate of seminary here in Austin and a member of First UU Austin and a dear friend of the Justice Ministry and has worked with us in chaplaincy before. Bis, will you wave? Thank you for being with us. And Carrie Holly Hurt, seminarian and recent intern minister for member congregation Live Oak UU. Hi, Carrie. Thank you so much. So we could never get into all of the things tonight around the topic that we have here. So what we're going to do is focus on a peaceful space to hear the words of our Unitarian Universalist leaders and a space for us to take actions that have been asked of us by our partners. These are suggested actions. You are welcome to take actions of your own call from within other relationships. The 8th principle of Unitarian Universalism calls us to accountability. And so you may have accountability to folks, and we create this time and space for you to take the actions that are meaningful to you. I've placed in the chat a document, but so if at any point, though this is a space mainly for action and mainly for reading and music and some quiet time, we also know that it may be helpful to you to speak with a chaplain. And so Sarah Burrell Harrop is our tech host tonight, and you can send Sarah an individual message if you want to speak with a chaplain at any time. Our chaplains also represent trans and queer identities, BIPOC identities, Carrie is a parent. We have lots of different identities. So if there's something that relates to a particular part of your life and you want to name that when you message Sarah to request to be put in a breakout room with a chaplain and get some time with a chaplain one-on-one, feel free to share that if that would help Sarah match you with a chaplain if you need someone. Thank you again to our chaplains for being with us. If you have a chalice, I invite you to light it. I'm going to light mine here in Bastrop on my back deck. And so often we are bombarded by things online, by things in our email, and we rarely get the time to take it in. So I would like to take this time to read a statement from our UUA president, the Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt. She writes, "Beloveds, I invite you to stop what you are doing if you can and sit with me in the depth of this tragedy. How to reconcile the cost of occupation and of war. How to nuance two very real histories of oppression and violence. I am holding close the words of UN Middle East peace envoy Tor Wennesland, who said, 'This is a dangerous precipice, and I appeal to all to pull back from the brink.' We, as a people of faith, can condemn violence against civilians while at the same time engaging in the full legacies and histories of oppression that shape such devastating conflict. As a faith tradition, Unitarian Universalists have long worked for peace, and our principles and values call for the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. At the same time, we have not engaged the tangled issues surrounding Israel and Palestine in community since 2018, and our last engagement resulted in severed relationships and deep pain." She writes, "I pray for the people of Israel and Palestine. I pray for leaders around the globe who must respond to this latest flare of violence and the untenable ethical considerations that abound. I pray for Muslim and Jewish UUs who experience the impact of this long strife acutely. I pray that those of us less likely to know the trauma of unending brutality and harm will not turn away from generational loss, from the devastating realities and their root causes, or from the relentless tragedy of war and occupation. Be gentle with yourselves when you need to be, but do not turn away unless you must. We are one global family living tenuously on the same human impacted earth. Let us center ourselves in justice as we call for peace. Amen. Ashe, and blessed be." We will now take a time of silence. I would like to ask Sarah to play our sharing song, which is called "We Rise." It will be audio and not video. And during this song, I invite you to echo or add anything to that prayer, or to share in the chat what brings you to tonight's action hour.
We rise, humbly hearted rise. We won't be divided, rise, with spirit to guide us, rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. And we rise, all of the children rise, elders with wisdom rise, ancestors surround us, rise. In hope, In prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. And we rise up from the wreckage. Rise with tears and with courage. Rise fighting for life. We rise in hope, in prayer. We find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. And we rise, humbly hearted, rise. We won't be divided. Rise with spirit to guide us. Rise.
Thank you. Thank you for your sharing. One of the things we talked about as a team was not wanting to let the fear of saying the wrong thing or not knowing everything stop us from calling for a peace that would save so many lives. I'd like to invite 3 members of the Texas UU Justice Ministry team to join in reading the statement from our partner, the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. Deanna, would you like to start us off?
In the face of devastating violence in Israel and Gaza, UUSC is joining many others in sharing our deep concern for the people and communities closest to the terror and those impacted by generations of fear, violence, and oppression created by racism and anti-Semitism.
No civilians should ever be targeted or killed, whether they live in Israel, Gaza, or elsewhere. The violence that is exploding is rooted in a deeply complex history and can be traced through centuries of persecution and trauma, political, quote-unquote, solutions, U.S. government policy, and colonialism. The vestiges of colonialism have created many of the conditions that have led to the current global state of displacement, including violence, persecution, and human rights abuses.
In the midst of atrocities arising in this very particular context, and in the shadow of layers of oppression and trauma that generate strong and often revenge-filled responses, there is growing intimidation and vilification directed at those who are working for liberation of the Palestinian people in the face of Israeli occupation. Among some, especially right-wing media, politicians, and pundits, the strategy is designed to create an atmosphere of fear and silence within movements for peace and democracy.
The calls from UUSC, our allies and partners for Israel's response to Hamas attacks on Israeli civilians to follow international humanitarian law and human rights laws, do not condone Hamas actions. To point out the grave violations of human rights committed by the Israeli state against Palestinians is not a justification for Hamas's actions. Human rights work requires us to hold a multiplicity of perspectives and to reject simplistic binary accusations. The narrative we must bring to these tragic circumstances is rooted in multiple truths, a commitment to justice and accountability.
In our work around the world, For more than 80 years, UUSC has supported partners striving for liberation, fighting, and even dismantling narratives that support and further oppression, occupation, and even genocide. We know that this is the trajectory of powerful actors who dehumanize and marginalize communities based on race, religion, and ethnicity.
Countering these violent narratives requires our own work to understand histories and listen to communities facing dehumanizing strategies. UUSC will be working with others in the coming months to support people of faith and people of conscience who want to learn and hold a multiplicity of understanding as we're required to do in the work for human rights. We hope you will join us in listening, processing, and learning.
We join you and many others in calling for action, justice, human rights, and an immediate ceasefire and movement of humanitarian assistance to those most impacted.
Thank you, Dana, Dale, and Michelle. We will take a time of silence. Thank you for your sharing in the chat as well. A phrase on my heart tonight from one of the teach-ins that I've attended on this topic this week is everyone for everyone. The release of all prisoners, everyone for everyone. And one of the things that we talked about as a group and preparing for tonight is the deep desire to save lives in our work in calling for a ceasefire. And as many of you have pointed out, there is much more than that to do. We thank you for coming here tonight and to be part of that with us and to begin where we can begin. And for some of us, this is part of a long standing, deep-hearted effort. And we recognize that as well. Thank you. So we'll move now into our time of actions, reminding folks that if at any time you need to speak with a chaplain, to please direct message Sarah Burrell Harrop, intern minister for the Texas UU Justice Ministry, to request to be in a private room to speak with a chaplain. The way the Action Hour works, if you've never been with us before, again, welcome. We have a document, and I think it's in the chat, but we'll probably drop it in again, with a list of actions. You can take those, some of them, all of them, none of them. You might use this time just to do some deep reading and reflecting or thinking about what actions you do want to take. But we provide these suggested actions from trusted partners and from our own UU sources. Before it gets to the list of suggested actions, I have here for you the UUA statement on the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza and Israel, which is further reading and context. It includes quite a lot for you. And it reminds us that we do this work in line with the UUA's 2002 action of immediate witness called Toward Peace and Justice in the Middle East. If you've ever attended General Assembly, you've seen how the process of action of immediate witness works, but that is a collective action that we as a faith commit to being part of. So you are in line with that as well tonight. And the three key elements listed in this UUA statement are: number one, ceasefire, de-escalation, and restraint by all sides. Number two, all parties to abide by the laws of war, including the Geneva Conventions and customary international law. 3, prioritizing steps to secure the immediate release of hostages and ensure international protection for civilians. You may choose to edit that call, but we provide those for you with guidance from your UUA. Now, if there is anyone who has trouble accessing the Word doc and would like to have the contents of the Word doc emailed to you instead, please drop your email in the chat and we can do that. Otherwise, my intention for this time is for us to be able to take these actions at our own pace. So as you see on the list, there are 5 actions here. Some of them are quite easy to do. There's you click on the link and it'll take you to an email form. There's also an option to call the White House and the State Department and make phone calls. And then we have a document that lists all the places you can send letters to the editor in Texas. So if you want to write in your own words, or if you want to edit, copy and paste, please don't write in this document. You can make your own copy. You can select and copy some of the text. And you can use these resources to make a call that is entirely your own. Does anybody who's part of the Action Hour team wish to add anything to that or underscore anything for folks? Okay. So I'm going to share my screen just to give you an example, and then I'm going to let you have time. We'll come back here at the end. Anyone who wants to process how it went for them, ask questions along the way. And then we have closing actions together at the end and a closing song. Let's see if I can share my screen. Oh, here we go. 1 second. Okay. Let's see if this is the right one. Here it is. Okay. Can you see the action alert from Churches for Middle East Peace? Okay. So this is just an example, one of the 5. You may have other actions in your email and the groups. I've already filled it out, so it already has all my information here. I did all the actions in advance to make sure that everything worked. Okay. I see a question about what about Palestinian prisoners? Absolutely. Everyone for everyone is meant to mean all from both sides. Absolutely. There are people on this call who have been deeply involved in this work. And if there are things and resources that you wish to share during this hour in the chat, you are absolutely welcome to do that. As I said in our email last week, the Texas UU Justice Ministry typically focuses on statewide issues. We've been dealing with issues of public education funding, of separation of church and state here in Texas. We had a call in from one of our UUs who is incarcerated in Texas to talk with us about abolition and prison reform issues. And at the same time, this international crisis does deeply affect many of us here in Texas, and our own governor has taken stances that are counter to our UU values. And so one of the things that the Texas UU Justice Ministry, one of our roles, is to be a voice for UU values in the public square. And so for you as Texas UUs to submit letters to the editor expressing your views on the issues of the day is deeply needed here in Texas, particularly to counter very loud voices that are counter to our UU values. So I can tell you that tonight I'm going to focus my energy on writing a letter because I feel really strongly about that, and it takes some time. So unless there are any other questions, I'll stop talking and let us focus on our actions, but you can always wave if you have a question. And then I would say most likely we would plan to come back together. Oh, depending on how it goes, with 5 to 10 minutes toward the end, see how much time you need. And these things are always, you can always use them for homework. You can always share them with your social action group at church. It's a public document on our website. You can share it with other people. But we come together to take actions in community, grounded in our UU practices like the chalice lighting and the music, because it helps sustain us for the lifelong work of justice. And because it's good to be together. All right. I'm going to mute myself and wish you blessings on your time of action taking. Please don't hesitate to put questions or resources or comments in the chat or wave. Kathy asks a good question. For the curriculum action, is there a good place to learn about the specifics within the curriculum that perpetuate bias, misinformation, or hatred toward Muslim, Arab, and Palestinian students? The Texas UU Justice Ministry is a part of something called the Teach the Truth Coalition. And we also work with Texas Impact on education-related issues. So I'll reach out to them about that. There may be some people on this call who are more directly actually on those teams and may have a resource. But in addition to, you could also reach out directly to the, I think that's a CARE action. But we can find that out for you. The issues of related to our education here are staggering and manyfold. So that Teach the Truth Coalition is a really important one for us. Thank you for asking the question. If you'd also send me your email, that'd be helpful. Thank you, Carrie. Carrie just dropped a link in about specifics from the Texas Education Agency. Thank you. That's why we do this as a team, because there's a lot of resources and wisdom in this group. Thank you for being here, Laurel. And I did see at least one new person arriving. And so I'm going to drop the document that we're working from in the chat again. We are having some quiet time to take the actions or other actions that you are wanting to take tonight. In that Google Doc, you'll find 5 suggested actions. While I'm unmuted, I want to lift up and just honor the heartfelt grief that is shared in the chat and that your TXUUJM team shares with many of you who have been writing. When you get a moment, if you haven't had a time to look in the chat, to just take in and bear witness to your fellow Unitarian Universalists and friends on this call. Bearing witness is an important part of our work so that we may show up with deeper empathy and commitment to action going forward. Thank you for your sharing, and your grief is shared by our community. If you're willing to share in the chat how it's going with your actions, were you able to do 1, 2? Are you right in the middle of a big thing that you're writing? Would love for you to let us know how it's going as we get closer to our closing time. Appreciating Mateo's question, is there any way to address the weapon makers here in the US? There must be. As a starting point for tonight, anything that you're writing, please do include that, adapt that, if that's your call. A very important question. Michelle, do you want to put in the chat the gun violence group from Texas Impact, which might also be, or, gun control group might be relatable for folks in that question, if you have time. Thank you. Susan says, got one action done, copy and pasted a lot of links into an open Word document. Good work. I want to show you all that you can always find the action hour document, and I'm going to show you where, so that you never have to wonder what actions, if you missed it, because you don't have to get it all at once, but I hope you'll commit to doing what you feel called to do. So here in the Texas UU Justice Ministry website, TXUUJM.org, on this tab that says Take Action, if you go down to either the TXUUJM Action Hour on Thursday nights or the Final Friday Lunch Bunch, which is our daytime action hour once a month, you'll see our link is here, the registration is here, videos about what action hour is like and why. They're different every week because we have a wonderful team of volunteers who lead on different topics every week. And it's a beautiful thing. And then if you scroll down, there's a place where it says, what if I can't make it to action hour? And then it says, you can still take action with us. And there's a link to the document that you're using now. And you're always welcome to take those actions another time. So I just remind you of that. And usually these actions involve things that are editable so that you can emphasize what you feel is the core call. So if you want to address US weapon makers, you absolutely can. Another thing that's in this document tonight is the TXUUJM email. Thank you, everyone who's reporting how it went. Our email, because what we want more than anything is to hear from you. You are the Texas UU Justice Ministry. We want to hear from you what actions you would like to take. And so if you find more actions on topics that are relevant to our mission of UU values in the public square in Texas, or that affect Texas, send them to us. And we would love to consider including them in our newsletter, in future action hours. We are doing this together. Thank you. I'm looking at the chats. Good work, everybody. A mosquito also wants to take action with us. That's why I keep doing that. Hi, Karen. Hi, Lisa. Welcome to some of the members of our board and some of the members of our advisory council. I see Jeannie. I see Mateo. Dee, Jane Collins. And it's really wonderful to see new names of folks that I don't know yet. And I hope that we get to know you in future weeks. Thank you all. Elizabeth Gray. Wonderful. Okay, well, it's 7:54. And so I just would like to draw your attention to a few more things on the action hour document. And I am going to go ahead and share my screen with you so that you can see what I'm talking about as I talk about it. And then we'll have a closing. So some things for you for following up. There is a vital opportunity on November 6th on Zoom for religious professionals. So for ministers, for RE directors, for staff at your church, if you're a lay-led congregation, you might consider having your board president reach out to ask. I'm not sure, how broadly they're defining religious professionals, but please do share that with folks, because as we said tonight, we could not begin to cover everything, but we wanted to give you this space. And this is a place to go deeper. It's a resource on the topic. And then I love in that song, Courage, My Friend, You Do Not Walk Alone. And I also think you do not go alone. You do not roll alone. We are not alone. And so knowing how much grief and how much pain and how much loss, so much loss, reach out to your supports, please, your own ministers and congregational supports, your therapist, your friends, your family. I encourage you to check in with any particular groups that are close to you. Diverse, Revolutionary, Unitarian Universalist, Multicultural Ministries, or DRUM has chaplains. Other groups do as well. Uplift for our LGBTQIA+ community. Blue, that's Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism, just released a statement right today that I just saw. Whichever communities are close to your heart, stay close in this time. Michelle has suggested a gratitude action, which was also in the chat. That's there for you. I have some suggested follows for you of some of those groups. We hope that you will follow the Texas UU Justice Ministry, join our newsletter. I would like to invite someone from our team to drop our newsletter subscribe link in the chat, if you would, please. I want to lift up Minister, the Reverend Dr. Colin Bosson, Senior Minister at First Unitarian Universalist Church of Houston, who shared his speech that he gave yesterday at his representative's office in Houston. That link is in the chat for you. Should we take a breath together? I don't know about you, but some days I cry more, and some days I'm very tired and I can't. And some days I dance more. Sometimes I need to sleep more. However you're feeling in your body and in your spirit tonight, the Texas UU Justice Ministry is sending you love and solidarity and thinking of those in deepest pain and loss in the Middle East tonight. I invite you to put your own words of prayer or intention for what you might do next in the chat as we listen to our closing prayer in song, which is Sending You Light by Melanie DeMore. I'm going to stop sharing. And while Sarah is queuing it up, I want to thank again our chaplains, the Action Hour team, Sarah as our tech host, Dana, Dale, and Michelle for reading, all of you for being part of our community and our justice work here in Texas and beyond. We love you, and we are sending you light.
I am sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I am sending you light to hold you in love. I am sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I am sending you light to hold you in love. I walk the path with you. Go slow, dear one, don't hurry. I'll go just like you need to go. There is no need to worry, 'cause I am sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I am sending you light to hold you in love. I am sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I am sending you light. Jina langu ni Asau.
Thank you all. We hope to see you next week for We Cry Justice at 6 p.m. Central and Action Hour at 7 p.m. Central. I would ask your prayers for those of us who are traveling to the Texas-Mexico border on Sunday in a solidarity and witness trip. We'll be thinking of all of you and bringing back what we hope will be deepened commitment and faithful work ahead around immigration and reducing violence in our own state, in our own country. Thank you all again. Thank you, Sarah, for your tech hosting gifts. Peace be with you.